Hey guys, what's up and welcome back to my channel. So today we are going to be talking about being fucking stupid, apparently. I'm pretty sure a lot of you have seen the news that there was this one YouTuber who basically rented a plane to let it crash. In an ideal world, I wouldn't have to say anything about this, and not like me saying anything about this is changing anything in the world, to be clear. But in an ideal world, first of all, this wouldn't happen, but second of all, I wouldn't have to explain why this is not the way to do things. But then, me being the person I am, I made the mistake of checking Twitter, and some people on Twitter were basically saying that the time given for this crime was too much. And we can agree to disagree on that, and we'll get into it in a second, but really my faith in humanity, you know, like we've talked about it dwindling, we've talked about all of that, but this truly makes me think the internet was a mistake, and it's rare for me to say that because I'm someone who spends probably too much time on the internet, but sometimes I see these people who really fully represent exactly what it is to spend too much time on the internet and to get sucked into, I guess, alternate realities that are not actually at the same pace as the reality that's outside right now. My little monologue aside, let's get into it. YouTuber who intentionally crashed plane pleads guilty, faces 20 years in prison. Trevor Daniel Jacob, a 29-year-old YouTuber who intentionally crashed his plane while pretending it was an unavoidable accident, has pleaded guilty to federal charges and faces 20 years in prison, according to an announcement from federal prosecutors on Thursday. Jacob, who lives in California, pleaded guilty to one count of destruction and concealment with the intent to obstruct a federal investigation, according to a press release from the U.S. Attorney's Office in the Central District of California. Jacob took off from Lompoc Airport in California on November 24th, 2021, and claimed he was flying to Mammoth Lakes. Jacob outfitted the plane with cameras from several angles, and about 35 minutes after takeoff, he ejected from the plane above Los Padres National Forest. The video, which currently has over 2.9 million views, is still available on YouTube and shows Jacob swearing repeatedly, pretending that his engine has gone out and that he needs to abandon the aircraft. Jacob jumped out of the plane while wearing a parachute and even captured the video of himself the entire time. Now, I don't know if you guys know this. I am a skydiver. I think I've skydived like 11 or 12 times at this point. Now, just from that standpoint, the jumping out of the plane part is not something you kind of want to just do, in the sense of you jump in a particular way. That doesn't make me a professional or anything, but I feel like it would be still extremely anxiety inducing to just kind of jump out of a plane in a way that seems like you're saving yourself. Because it's one thing for your instructor to open the door and then you jump out. It's another thing to squeeze yourself out of the door and basically just fall out. Once Jacob safely parachuted to the ground, he hiked to the plane wreck. The cameras that had been mounted on the aircraft captured the entire crash and were published as a part of his subsequent YouTube video. The video also shows Jacob hiking, explaining that he was just so happy to be alive and becoming so thirsty he drinks from a nearby stream. This was also captured by Jacob's camera thanks to his handy selfie stick. After nightfall, viewers see Jacob notice car headlights in the distance. Jacob was then saved by nearby farmers. Jacob told the National Transportation Safety Board about the crash on November 26, 2021, and the government agency launched an investigation, but that's where Jacob's plan to crash a plane for internet attention really starts to unravel.
It's pitch black dark now. A car. Oh my gosh. Hello. Hey. How you doing? Oh my gosh. Holy shit. Oh my gosh. Hi. How you doing, man? I had an engine out in the mountains, and there was nowhere to land. I always fly with a parachute, and I'm like, I can either jump right now or take the chance of landing this thing, and I'm that I'm out. And then as soon as I opened the canopy and I'm under parachute, the plane came back around and almost hit me.
You have no idea how far back we are. You have no clue.
Yeah. I'm good. That was the gnarliest day of my life.
Where were you at?
Holy shit. I probably have been walking 6, 7, 8 miles already.
Yeah, so
Just in the river. I was probably 5 miles up in the hills. I almost fell off a cliff. I literally was just like, I saw fresh tracks on the car, and I'm like, I'm gonna just get to that river, and then I saw water. I started crying.
I really don't know what word I want to use to be insulting but also accurate. This to me screams main character syndrome, as in you are not the main character or you do not perceive yourself as the main character in your life. So what you decide to do is to say you've survived a plane crash. You decide that somehow you were lucky enough to come across a car and that you drank from a river to survive. And then when the car comes, you were saved and thank God. Girl, like truly, this is sad. This is undeniably one of the dumbest things you can do, obviously, but it also is sad because it has to speak to a bigger problem. The need for attention that you're displaying by deciding you're gonna crash a whole ass plane. Truly, I don't say this with any stigma because I also see a therapist, but I think therapy here is necessary because if you need that much attention or you feel like you need that much attention that you're not getting, probably there's something going on with you, with the people around you, whatever, there's something up. Because wanting attention, normal. Crashing a plane to want attention, maybe don't. Also, I think the big elephant in the room that is very obvious, but I'll say anyway, you didn't know where that plane was gonna crash. Now, if it were someone who were able, I guess, to calculate the trajectory, okay, but even then, I feel like, why is that a risk we have to take? I don't personally have all that much trust in this particular individual, so even if he did calculate the trajectory of where the plane was gonna crash, you really don't know. And when we think about these years in prison, it's like, okay, well, this could have crashed on a school, in a neighborhood, on a road, like anywhere where there's even just one person. Aside from that, if we go into the whole environmental lens, it's like, are we really using our resources for this? Do we really need scattered pieces of metal and whatever the fuck else planes are made out of to crash so you can have a YouTube video with views? And realistically, if we're really gonna go down that route, I'll just say it, this is pretty equivalent to people who post on those websites where they're like deadly car crashes and you see the corpses. Now, obviously, seeing corpses is not the equivalent of crashing a plane, but really, you're documenting an accident. The difference is here, you're documenting an accident done on purpose, so that's the quality of the content you're making. It's shock value content. It's the type of content that also fucks people up. I don't know if it's ever happened to you guys. It's happened to me and it was horrible. Someone I knew sent me the footage of a school shooting, didn't tell me what it was. I stupidly watched it, saw some shit that I will never forget in my life. This is not that far from that because I've also happened to unfortunately see accidents, like really gory ones, videos just like scrolling along. And this is kind of like that, but done on purpose. So it wasn't even an accident. It was like you decided to stage an accident. I'm sorry, I don't know what to do with that information, apart from saying it's fucking stupid. In the weeks following the plane crash, Jacob lied to investigators that he did not know the wreckage's location, according to the plea agreement. In fact, on December 10th, 2021, Jacob and a friend flew by helicopter to the wreckage site. There, Jacob used straps to secure the wreckage, which the helicopter carried to Santa Barbara County, where it was loaded onto a trailer attached to Jacob's pickup truck. Federal prosecutors said in a press release. Jacob had reportedly drove the plane wreckage to the airport and unloaded it in a hangar. Jacob cut up the wreckage of the plane over a few days and put the plane parts in different trash bins around the airport. Why? Jacob was doing this to obstruct federal investigators from looking into the cause of the crash. The YouTuber was apparently trying to monetize the video by promoting a wallet. Jacob further admitted he lied to federal investigators when he submitted an aircraft accident incident report that falsely indicated that the aircraft experienced a full loss of power approximately 35 minutes after takeoff. Jacob also lied to an FAA aviation inspector when he said the airplane's engine had quit, and because he could not identify any safe landing options, he had parachuted off the plane, according to federal prosecutors. The FAA revoked Jacob's pilot's license in 2022, and it's not clear when sentencing is scheduled for this case. So, to be honest, I really don't know how long I would give someone for this crime. Do I think 20 years is completely out of line? Honestly, no. I wouldn't really say that 20 years is that crazy. Now, granted, a lot of crimes out there don't get their appropriate time. So we've seen rapists, pedophiles get barely any time. So if we are talking about this in a relative function, yes, 20 years is crazy because there are people who have done worse things who don't get that time. But I think the real problem is with the judicial system, and I don't think we should base this on relativity. I think we should base it on what we think the crime is worth. Some people in the comments were saying he deserved like 6 months, which to me is absolutely wild. This guy got a fucking plane and decided to just let it crash for a video. To me, that speaks to a way bigger problem that that person has. And I'm not gonna diagnose them with anything. I don't know what's going on in their life, but if you feel a certain level of comfort enough to actually do the damn thing, to get the plane, get on the plane, prepare your parachute, film things, come up with a story as to why it crashed and why you're so lucky you survived, and go drink from a fucking stream like it's Snow White, I don't know what to tell you. I think that there's a really big problem, and honestly, I would probably say this person needs some kind of psychiatric evaluation. In fact, I don't know if I'd say that jail, prison, whatever would be the answer as much as some kind of psychiatric long-term treatment, because to me this says someone who either doesn't understand or doesn't care, or both, about the consequences of their own actions. Had it been windier than expected, had the weather been different, not only could he have crashed and died, but the trajectory of where the plane was supposedly supposed to crash would have changed. So when you crash that plane, or when you decide to crash that plane, it's not just like, oh, I'm deciding to do this funny thing for people online to say I'm a moron, but for me to get money out of it. But it's also the thing of like, you're really gambling other people's lives. But again, even if it is in the middle of nowhere, why do we need chaos for the sake of chaos in this magnitude? You know, if you want to be chaotic, you want to be a little funny, there are plenty of things you can do. This, to me, is one of the things that screams you need people to look at you, and there's probably something going on there. Regardless, that's all I'm going to say about that, because I find this honestly despicable and disgusting. It's not just stupid, because, you know, if you want to risk your own life, that's something you take responsibility for, and I guess that's something you can do. Technically, I was told that every time I skydived that, you know, like I had to sign a piece of paper, you know, if you die, whatever. But that's up to me, and no one else is getting hurt. When you're putting other people's lives on the line and we're basing all of this on your knowledge of a trajectory of a plane that's gonna crash, I'm sorry, no. Anyway, you guys let me know what you think in the comments down below. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you to my patrons as always, and I'll catch you guys next time.